Sorry about that. I got a question in the chat about the route. How do we switch from Sofim to Khalutsim for day 2 and 3? Can you describe the various skill levels? How is it for you?
So the way you switch is on Wednesday night. After you've ridden for a day on Wednesday, and gotten a feel for the group that you've been riding with and to whether you think it's a good place for you or not. Everybody after the briefing we have on Wednesday night has to check in and confirm which group they want to be in. Even if you're staying, if you told us you want to be in Khalutsim and you're staying in Khalutsim, you still have to check in and tell us. And that's the time where if you want to switch and it's for the next 2 days, because the groups stay at different places on Thursday night. There's no place big enough for all of us in the desert. That's where you make the switch. What I always try and tell people is if you're not sure which group you want to be in, ride with the stronger group on Wednesday and see how you fit. The other people always ask me how do I know what's the pace? How will I be comfortable? And what I've said over the years is that if you think about riding on rolling hills, not the flats of Florida, although maybe we have some hills now in Florida from all that wind, I don't know, but not on the flats of Florida, but a classic sort of Northeast and other parts of the US rolling hills. If you're comfortable doing 30 to 40 miles at 10 to 12 miles an hour, you'll probably be most comfortable in the Shomrim or the short group. If you're comfortable in the 12 to 15 mile an hour range, you'll probably be most comfortable in the Tzofim or the middle group. And if you're comfortable in the 15 to 17 mile an hour average pace in those cases, you'll be comfortable in the Khalutsim group. That doesn't mean that that's the pace we're going to ride each day and in each place. The pace is driven by the terrain, driven by other issues of the group staying together and the like, but those are kind of the guidelines. And you'll notice there's some places where you could go either way, depending upon your speed. And that's because that's reality. So try what's more difficult on the first day and see how you feel.
Morris, I see you have your hand up. If you can just unmute and introduce yourself before your question.
Hi, I'm Morris Maslia. I'm from Peachtree Corners, Georgia, suburb of Atlanta. I'm with the JNF Atlanta team. And this will be my third ride. I did 2014, 16, and do it again this year. And just one comment. Now we said at night, you want to probably bring some type of long sleeve outerwear or something, because it does get a little cool in the desert at night. And so that's the other. I had really a couple of logistical questions. Is this the time for that, or do you want to keep on with the ride?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. My cell carrier has, an international dialing plan. So can I just bring my cell phone with my, it's, the new phones don't have a SIM in them anyway, and do that. And then I've got a hotspot anyway with me that I bring. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just take a second to let everybody know that we're planning to set up a WhatsApp group for all the riders that we want to use for communication.
Mm-hmm.
If you're familiar with that, then you'll know about that, and that'll be easy. If you're not familiar with that, ask one of your kids, or just try and download the app and read a little bit about it, and we'll help you. But it's like a group text message, but it's a little easier to control.
Okay. And then I have one other question. We got an email a couple of days ago about COVID policies and all that. And I just want to make sure I'm interpreting this correctly, that each rider is responsible for bringing 8 COVID home tests with them.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
addition to testing before you get on the plane
Mhm.
and testing in Israel before you arrive at the hotel. So
We can do
that's-
our testing, or do we need to go to a PCR test?
No, you can do your own testing, an antigen test, and over-the-counter test
Okay.
works. So that's 10 in total, 8 to
Okay.
have with you. We don't anticipate
Mhm.
everybody needing to test every day, but we want to be prepared.
Okay.
We're very hopeful, but it's hard to think about bringing a total of 200, close to 250 people together from all parts of the world, travel and running around Israel beforehand, many, and that nothing happens.
Okay.
But-
Thank you.
Yeah, and Morris, I visited Israel in the summer and I have T-Mobile and I just called beforehand. I told them what day I was going to be landing in Israel and they
Mhm.
just turned on my, my roaming
Okay.
plan. So it was like $50
Great. That's-
for unlimited.
Mhm.
Yes,
That's
all those
all I have, so.
those US roaming plans work.
Yeah,
Um,
it worked just fine.
That was T-Mobile on.
Yeah, I have T-Mobile and I was there for a while, so I got the most expensive plan, but I think there's different plans you could get with, different costs. We have a lot of questions. There's questions in the chat and I see people have their hands up. So let's take one more person with a hand up and then maybe I'll read a question from the chat. Lawrence, do you want to unmute and introduce yourself?
Yeah, good evening. My name is Larry Abrams. I'm from Long Island, New York, and it's my first time riding. So I have a question about, I guess the question would be bike security. So I get off the airplane, there's going to be somebody waiting to take my bike to Jerusalem to put it together. And then do I need to bring a bike lock? Do I need to at any time secure my bike? Or will the bikes be secured every evening or every day that we're not riding?
So just to clarify, when you arrive and you have your bike, you'll make a phone call to our vendor who will come and meet you. They won't necessarily be there exactly when you get there, but you'll get a phone number and you'll call them, and within 10 or 15 minutes, they'll come and meet you. You do not need a bike lock. The bikes are secured at all times. So they, and in different ways in different places. In some cases, we have, for example, Wednesday night, the bikes are staying outside in a parking lot at Kibbutz Negba, and we have a 24-hour guard guarding the bikes. And there are different arrangements in each place. Sometimes it's in the hotel in a room where it gets locked up. But the bikes are all secured and you don't need to bring a lock.
Thank you very much.
I have a question in the chat that I'll read out. When will we receive info on the Jerusalem hotel address and bike pickup company contact info? So yeah, the bike company that you'll call with your working Israeli phone once you land at the airport. This is for people bringing their own bike. So they'll call a company who will pick up their bike for them. We're going to be giving out that info around 2 weeks before the ride. So we're currently working on putting together a packet, an arrival packet for everyone, and we'll send it out in approximately 2 weeks, which is exciting. And the Jerusalem hotel address, we're staying at the Ramada in Jerusalem. I believe there's like 2 addresses they use, so that all that info will be in the arrival pack we send out. But the hotel is the Ramada in case you want to look it up. Okay, Jeff, would you like to unmute and introduce yourself?
Hi, Jeff Brenner from Boston, Mass. Actually, first year riding. Just had 2 questions. One, going back to the testing for COVID. I'm going to be in Israel for a week prior to arriving. So when should I test before the ride? Should I test the night, like on the 30th, 31st?
You know, you can test, depending on when you're planning to arrive at the hotel. Some people are arriving Monday night at our hotel. Some people are arriving Tuesday night. So, you know, a number of hours before you plan to arrive at us would be great.
All right, so like 10:31. Okay. And the second question is, last time we were talking about the GPX files for the Garmin, which I know you said we don't really need them because we're going to be following the route. But if we wanted to be able to download it just so you know when that turn is coming up, where can I get maps? Because if you download the GPX file but you don't have Israeli maps, then it won't work. So does anyone know where you purchase those maps so you can download them to a Garmin?
I don't know, but we'll get you Mark Drury's email address. He's our guru on all that stuff. He's been on the ride a whole bunch of times. He'll be able to answer that for you.
I appreciate that.
Unless Mark's right here, I can't see everybody.
Howie, it's Sharon Cohen. I just want to interject. You should be able to download them off the Israel Ride website, as I've done that before in the past. That's the first thing. The second thing is, after day 2, you don't have any turns that you're going to miss. It's basically a straight road all the way down to Eilat. The first 2, it's literally the truth. There's really nowhere to get lost. I would worry about it from experience perspective.
And the other thing is that if you do download them now to take a look at them, it's possible that they'll change between now and then. So go back a few days, just a few days before, and re-download. Or check the dates if you can see the date that it was last loaded, because you know, we always go and have somebody go along the whole route a few days before, and we inevitably find construction or something going on where something changes a little bit.
All right, thank you.
Steve Moss.
Hi, my name is Steve Moss, also from Long Island, and this is my first ride as well. And first, I do want to say Shana Tova to everyone, and for those fasting Tuesday night, a good fast as well. I have 2 questions. First of all, is it possible, since I'm arriving like 6 days before the ride and staying in Jerusalem, when that person picks up my bike, is it possible for me to take a ride with that person? They going back to Jerusalem? Is there a way of
No, you have 2 choices. You can
have
us pick up the bike, and it goes into a warehouse and they go in bulk to Jerusalem, or you can take the bike with you if you want to try and use it and figure out how to schlep it in a taxi, etc., which is really not recommended.
No, plus I have to put it together myself, which definitely is not going to happen.
If you want to ride in Jerusalem, you're better off finding a bike shop and renting a bike for a day.
Definitely. Okay, thank you. And my other question is are there activities and offerings for the Shomrim afternoons posted already, or when will they be available?
Ilana, do you know, are we posted yet? Those sometimes change.
Yeah, we have 2,000, like we have the previous rides Shomrim itinerary posted. There may be slight changes, but for the most part, everything should be the same, right, Howie?
Well, sometimes we do different things. I'd say that we don't finalize that until till probably the last week or so.
Yeah, we're working with the tour guides now.
Be able to find that out when you arrive in Jerusalem.
Oh, okay. And the other thing is, I'm assuming after looking at the routes, that the second day is the most challenging?
It depends on,
In terms
I
of
think it depends
elevation.
it depends on the riding group. And so that the second day for Chalutzim is the longest. For Sofim, I think it's also the longest.
Yeah.
But for Sofim, it's not The second day is relatively flat. There are other challenging, more hilly days. So, different people find different things challenging in different ways. So it's hard to characterize.
Okay, thanks, Howie.
George, would you like to?
Hi, am I unmuted here? Yeah, I'm George Morton. I live in Acton, Massachusetts. I think this is my 6th ride. I'm not sure. I registered for about 8 of them, but I think I've only gone on 6 with the last 2 years. So my question, you said we're staying at the Ramada in Jerusalem on Tuesday night, and I'm going to be arriving on Monday. Should I be making reservations at that same hotel? Will they have rooms available? Or
So you go ahead, Ilana, go ahead.
Yeah, in general, we are helping riders reserve a room for any nights they want to stay in the same hotel before the ride starts. I will connect you with our travel agent who's doing those hotel bookings. I will say that I think we are filling up. So if it's something you definitely want to stay at the Ramada the night before, I would try to move on those arrangements with her.
Well,
There's a little bit of a complexity, which is the Ramada is really 2 separate hotels that are connected. And if you book at the Ramada and you end up being in the connected hotel with us, then you might have to move your room. So that's the reason we suggest that we go through this process, which is really a bit of a pain for us as well, to let people book that pre-night so you're in the same place and don't have to move.
Oh, Alana, can you drop the email for that person
Yeah.
in the chat?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
I don't have to sort through my emails.
Yeah, her name is Emily. She, just FYI to everyone, she lives in Israel. So, she might answer emails at weird hours. But she speaks English, and yeah, she should be able to help you with booking. But as I said, we only have a certain amount of rooms reserved. So I'm not sure how many are left for the pre-nights at this point.
is there a way to indicate on the forms portal that we want you to help us make a reservation Monday night for Monday night? Or I mean, I'm staying with a friend for most of the ride. I'm rooming with another person from Acton, Matt Liebman. And I think he's going even earlier because he's going to do one of the pre-ride tours.
So there is no way to like signify you want to book pre-nights in the forms portal, but you can email Emily. I put her email in the chat, and I could also, I know that you're interested, so I could connect you to via email if you'd like.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure. And John Harris Shapiro, you also wanted to be connected to Emily?
Yeah, I was about to drop her an email. Do you want me to copy you on the email?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, feel free to keep me CC'd so I could just help facilitate if needed.
Thank you.
Taking notes. Okay. Andy White.
Hi, my name's Andy. I live in the Boston area. This is my first time doing the ride. Second time to Israel. I have a question about the rest stops. How far apart are they? And I ask only because I have a Camelback. Should I take that, or are the rest stops close enough that we can refill water and I don't need a Camelback?
So everyone, everyone drinks and rides at somewhat different paces. The rest stops also vary based upon the groups. I'd say that there's always a rest stop within 20 miles. And usually if it's that long, there's something that we call a pit stop in the middle or in between. A pit stop is a place where there's water and a little bit of food that is an optional stop, whereas a rest stop is a place where the whole group stops and gathers together and then leaves as a group. So for the Sofim and the Shomrim, the rest stops tend to be a little closer. So if you're comfortable going 10 or 12 miles on whatever you carry on your, with a water bottle, then I think you'll be fine. Camelbacks are great, but they're a little bit of a pain to carry around. So I mean, it's really personal preference. You're not going 50 miles without or 40 miles without access to water.
Okay, I just have one other question. It's about bringing your bike. I found out that they will, maybe somebody can verify this, but if you've got CO2 cartridges in your bike pack and you bring those, they will be removed. Because
Yeah,
my
don't bring
understanding,
don't pack CO2.
Don't bring-
right.
Just don't.
Will we be able to?
I've done it accidentally, but more than likely it'll get confiscated.
Right.
It's not,
And I think
it's not
this,
safe.
and I think the same also holds for batteries. If you have any sensors or any devices that have batteries, I think that holds true for that as well. I think. Will we be able to purchase CO2 cartridges there?
We don't sell CO2 cartridges. There are bike shops not far away where you can get it. Our mechanics are very much available who have pumps, should you have a flat. So it's not the same as needing to do stuff on your own when you're out other places. There will be some people who are carrying CO2 not because they brought it, but because they bought it or have it from before, but it's not absolutely necessary.
Okay.
Yeah, by the time you get the tire off the wheel, if you're a do-it-yourself kind of person and get it started to get it remounted, somebody's going to show up. I mean, it's not a guarantee, of course, but it's like magic. You have a flat and someone shows up.
Okay, so there's a couple questions in the chat. I'll read off the first one. If I'm riding in Shomrim and my husband is in Sofim, which nights will we be staying over in different places?
Thursday.
Yeah, on Thursday, we're staying in 3 different accommodations and they're all they're a distance from each other. So that's the only night that, if you're in different riding groups and you're a couple, you may be separated for one night. Okay, next question is, does the vendor know?
We've yet to have a marriage breakup because of a one-night separation.
Does the vendor know of all the rider schedules, and do we get a receipt for surrendering the bike to that person?
No receipt. The vendor has a list of names and schedules, but we've learned that no matter how much we try and do that, somebody's flight changes, somebody's stuff changes, so that they depend much more on hearing from you via telephone, and the warehouse that they come from is a 10 or 12 minute drive from the airport, and so that's the no, and you don't need, we don't.
They come in this van and it's not marked, and you think, why am I giving this bike to these guys that are just standing there with a bunch of other bikes? But it's legit. I mean, it does it. The first time I was there, I thought I was scared to leave my bike with them because it was my prized possession. But they're there. There'll be lots of other bikes. That's how you know it's the right place. But there's no major markings on it. There's just a couple guys collecting bikes.
It's a leap of faith.
The first time it was a leap of faith. Now I trust them.
And they're also there when you're getting ready to go back. You give them a call and they appear within 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes at, gate 32G or whatever they tell you. Well, they'll meet you. I've done it twice and haven't missed yet.
Yeah, we ask you to make sure, they usually show up in 20 minutes, but we ask you to make sure you leave an extra hour when you're leaving to pick up your bike, just in case there's an issue.
We also we're giving them the Israel Ride hats this year. I hope that they wear it,
and we're trying to get a little Israel Ride logo sign in the in the vans, but you know, they have more than one van and it's not,
It's part of the experience. Larry, would you like to unmute and introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Larry Herring from San Diego. This is my second ride I rode in 2012. My first thing I wanted to say is in 2012, I did have a little problem with my bike. At the end, when they took my bike, they did a little damage to it. But when I identified it, sent them the picture, they rectified the problem and paid for the damage they did. So they were good to work with, but there was a little bit of damage on my bike last time, just to let you know and how things work at different times. And I'm not saying it's ever going to happen again. My question that I've actually put my hand up for is with COVID and the COVID rules. It says in the book, oh, let me ask you, is there any book like this? This is my book from 2012. Is there any book like this again?
there will be, there will be, there's one that's going to be sent out digitally before you come, and then there's another one that you get that's printed when you come.
Okay, I found the printed helpful when I was actually doing the ride. Okay, so my question is, it's on the COVID rules. It says that you're supposed to have your boosters up to date, and there's a little bit of controversy for myself. I had COVID 3 months ago, so the question is, how long do I wait to get the booster? It's basically up to date except for that one issue. That's not going to matter, is it?
What, you know, we don't want to be in the medical decision-making business, you know, so what we have said is that that you should be up to date according to CDC guidelines. So if the CDC would tell you that after 3 months you should get a booster, at 3 months you should get a booster, then you should. If CDC, you know, we don't want to be in the medical decision-making business as much as trying to set generalized policies that kind of make sense and protect both the individual and the community in a reasonable way.
Right.
Which is
The last I read from
and
CDC,
not easy.
the last I read from CDC is they're saying 2 to 3 months after you've had it, or you can get the booster.
Right, which becomes 2 weeks for me. So I do plan on getting it. And then my final question is, I can ride at a higher level, but I plan not to because some of the tours in the afternoon I don't want to miss because very unique tours. Will the tours be changed, or is that kind of already set what I read about the tours in the afternoon?
I'd say yes and yes. They're fairly set, but one or two of them might change. You'll get updated information when you arrive. And again, it's just that things happen in different kind of ways that we can't always anticipate. You know, the good thing is you can make your decisions about each day when you're there.
Thanks. Except for the Friday morning ride where you have to be at the right place.
Except for Thursday and Friday where you're making a decision for 2 days. Wednesday night, you're making a decision for 2 days.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. I'm reading a question from the chat. Will there be charging stations at our stops for phones, lights, etc.? Do we need to bring our bike lights?
There are no charging stations on the road. All the hotels have electricity, at least the last time we checked. So they're there. I mean, if you use your phone a lot, bring a little portable standalone battery charger of your own, which you can charge at the hotel.
And George, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, this is really a question about, I'm bringing my bike and flying El Al. And in years past, it's been inconsistent whether or not they charge to bring your bike. And I went to the website, I just made my reservations last night, and it's clear as mud on the website. So I'm asking, does anybody know, anybody that's bringing their bike and flying El Al, does anybody know whether or not they charge, and if I have to make prior arrangements so that they don't charge me?
I know,
I have flown LL out of Boston like you every time. I travel with hand luggage and my bike. They do not charge for the bike because it's my only luggage. I've never
Okay.
made a pre-arrangement. If they change it, but I've gotten through the last 3 times without
Okay.
being charged for the bike.
Okay, thank you very
I know,
much.
I was
I
gonna.
just
I
have
was
to tell you
gonna
that our experience is all the airlines have policies, and sometimes they follow them and sometimes they don't. It's all about who you get that day at the counter and what they feel like.
I know on American, it's your bike box can't be more than 62 inches length, width, and height, and it can't be more than 50 pounds.
Yeah, and it goes
Your
by the
bike box-
class of your ticket. So watch the class of your ticket as well. If you're flying basic economy, it's going to be one set of rules. If you're upgraded to a better seat, it's going to be another set of rules.
I
Your,
spoke to
your, bike
LL
box,
and yeah.
your bike box will likely be opened by TSA.
Likely.
A lot of people put other things in their bike box besides their bike. Helmets, all kinds of other things. We don't recommend it because the box gets opened and, you know, shit happens in the world. So bring the stuff that you need with you. You don't want to lose all your gloves and have to go run around and buy gloves because your gloves were with your bike.
And
And
is it my
certainly-
understanding, is it my
Certainly, and
understanding that they open up the bike behind, you don't see them opening up the bike?
you do not see them. It's after you've turned the bike over to the airline.
Mhm.
With
Um,
So
L-
you don't, so you don't
Peter,
put a
with
lock on
LL,
the
you
bike?
do see it. LL in Boston, I've watched them do my bike every time. They open it in front of you before it goes down the chute.
Yeah, so it varies, and they're going to open it coming back too.
They will. And the other thing I'm going to say, just saying what you said, Howie, if you lose your shoes or your helmet or whatever, and it's in your bike and your bike gets delayed because it's a big piece of luggage, every year a few bikes don't make it. You can't ride without those things. So those things should be on your person. I pack all of that stuff in my hand luggage, which is my only way I really travel, but I make sure you have everything you need to bike with you and put nothing in the bike box. On the way back, put all your dirty laundry. If it doesn't come home on time, it doesn't come home on time. But on the way down, be very careful.
And don't forget, if you're packing your shoes, take your pedals with you.
You can purchase something called an Apple AirTag through Amazon.
Mhm.
You can throw it in the bike box, so you'll always know where your bike is if it gets lost.
So we've had riders who are sitting in Jerusalem and very happy to know their bike was in Czechoslovakia because they had a tag. You know, it probably helped it get there sooner, but it was still in Czechoslovakia. You know, so
So when that happens, Howie, I assume then you have backup bikes for those few incidents?
Yeah. yes.
But you need to bring your pedals and your helmet. You need to have those with you, as Sharon mentioned. Very important.
And helmets you can even actually just carry your helmet. It doesn't have it. They don't seem to mind, like you can wear it as a hat for security if they're counting how many things you're carrying.
All right, Steve Moss. You have your hand up.
Oh, yeah. About luggage. I just want to verify, we're allowed one suitcase and a carry-on and possibly a computer bag or something? Is that too much stuff?
Are you asking from an Israel ride perspective or from an airline perspective?
No, from an Israel ride perspective, what are we going to schlepping with us?
From an Israel ride perspective, you have a bag, and what else did you say?
A
I mean, if
suitcase?
you have a
We have
piece
a
of
regular
heavy
suitcase, right?
suitcase, yes, one suitcase. Some people who are coming for extended periods before or after have more stuff. What we recommend is if you have a second suitcase, you can check it in Jerusalem and pick it up in Eilat, not have it come with you each day.
What about a suitcase and a carry-on for the plane? Can you take both of those with us on the ride?
You can take both of those. I'd encourage you, if you can, to consolidate the stuff. It's easier to have only one bag to worry about than a bag and a carry-on, but it's certainly doable. And
You need a day bag too, right?
Maybe.
But keep in mind, some days you have to schlep your baggage upstairs to where you're staying. Some days it's put in your room for you, but mostly you're carrying it. So the more you have, the more you have to carry.
Yeah, but they also, the Israel ride in years past allowed you to have a day bag that they put in the vans and was
So-
available to you at some of the rest stops.
Yeah, so for those of you who are first-time riders, it's people sometimes have things that they want to carry with them during the day while they ride. It might be medication. It might be your kind of sunscreen that you only want to use your kind of sunscreen. It might be your special fuel food that you like and you only like that food.
Flip-flops.
Yeah, you can use we call them day bags. The idea is that they're small backpacks, and they go in generally the bus or one of the vehicles that accompany the riders. They generally arrive at a rest stop with the last rider because they're at the end, and you can get access to them to take some medication, put your camera away, et cetera, et cetera.
And if you have this is something that took me a couple rides to learn. If you have a small, thin, flimsy bag, you can pack that in your suitcase and, in your carry-on or your whatever you want. And it doesn't have to be an extra bag that you're schlepping through the airlines and everything. That was a eureka moment I had after about 3 rides.
Yeah, everybody has a different way of doing things. I've never used a day bag and put stuff in my back pockets or gone with less because it's just one more thing I have to worry about and think about where it is and et cetera, et cetera. So, but to each his own, do it in the way that you're comfortable with.
I'm going to read a question from the chat. What is the evening and dinner program on November 1st? So November 1st is the first day of the Israel ride. It's not a riding day, it's orientation. The evening and dinner is at around 7 o'clock, I think. And after dinner, we'll be doing a whole bunch of orientation. So getting to know the staff and about the crew, about safety on the ride, about the benefits.
No, that's all before
Before
dinner.
dinner?
That's all before dinner.
Okay.
After dinner, we have an optional talk by an alum of the Israel Ride, who also happens to be an American who moved to Israel and made Aliyah and works with Alon Tal on a number of environmental projects. And he's going to talk about November 1st is election day in Israel. For those of you who may not be aware. So he's going to talk a little bit about the elections. Election results generally are the polls are not allowed to announce anything in terms of any of their samples or exit polls or any of that generally until 10 p.m. where we hope many of you are already starting to sleep because we're going to get you up early the next morning. Of course, if history is any indicator, this election won't be determinative. But who knows?
Okay, great. Okay, another question from the chat quickly. Since I'm renting a bike from you guys, I'm not sure what to bring: bottle holder, backpack, bungees, tire irons, and wrenches. How many, if any of those things?
You don't really, if you have a seat that you really like, you may want to bring a seat. We obviously our bikes come with seats, but your rear end is a precious commodity going 5 days and 300 miles. You don't need any tire irons or wrenches or spare tires or anything like that. If you have a bike computer, you can bring that and they'll hook that up for you. If you have the bikes the rental bikes generally come with pedals with cages, not clips. If you want to use clips, then bring pedals with you and we'll put them on for you. But did I cover everything?
I think so. No wrenches you don't need to bring, right? No.
No.
Bottle holders. She was
Yeah, no,
asking also about the wrench.
every bike has at least one bottle holder. Some have two. If two is important to you, and you bring one, we can probably hook it up. We may have it.
Yeah, I had a rider, and I think he's on this call, Barry, who is thinking about bringing 2 mirrors. And I asked the mechanics, is it possible to install both mirrors? They said, sure. So yeah, any mirrors, any things that would make you feel more comfortable riding, you should probably bring. Larry, I see you have your hand up.
There, I unmuted myself. I'm sorry. I lost the picture for a second. My question is, if I have a guest stay with us, how far in advance do you need to know that I want to have a guest stay in with us or join the ride for a day or two?
We need to know yesterday. We may not have room.
Okay.
Yeah, what night? Was it Shabbat that you were thinking, or a Neilat?
Not sure. The person doesn't even have their passport yet.
Okay. There's definitely room in a lot if they want to meet us at the end, but I'm not sure at this point there's room during Shabbat to meet.
I think as you all are probably aware, we're sold out this year, and we're actually oversold in a sense that like the airlines, we know we have to overbook because things happen. And we have historical ratios, and we're running ahead of our historical ratios. So we're especially tight from a room standpoint in being in as to what we can do. And it also didn't help that our normal hotel that really works well in Ashkelon happened to have a fire and is closed. So we'll be in Ashdod. At a different hotel, but we like to try and accommodate you in any way that we can, but we're constrained by room availability.
Okay, and just to review, you said on the rental bikes, they come with pedals, right? We don't bring our own pedals unless we want to.
Correct. They come with pedals with cages, yes.
And Larry, I'll just say, on Shabbat at Mitzvah Ramon, we might not have room in the hotels that we're staying at, but your guests can always stay at a different hotel and, you know, still spend time with you. You know, Shabbat's your time to spend however you want. So I know other people are doing that. Peter?
Yeah, hi. I have a question and a comment. First thing is, I know will be a busy time for Alon Tal, or he may be out of a job on Tuesday. But I'm wondering whether we'll see him, because that's been always a highlight of the ride. If Alon joins us for an evening or for a day of riding. So I'm just wondering if there's any.
As of this morning, the plan was for him to join us sometime during the day on Wednesday, I think at lunch, to try and talk to people. But great. I would say that's very much subject to change.
Of course, obviously it's a busy time. The second question really answers Edward Grove's question about bring your own bottles. We used to, in previous years, we got bottles. That's
not
out of
more.
What? I understand that.
Bring your own bottles.
I wanted you interrupted me. I was about to suggest that for those who have collected these bottles and really enjoy having them in previous years, in the name of L'Adore Vador, I was going to suggest people who have many Israel Ride bottles collected over previous years might bring an extra bottle to bring to somebody who is a first-year rider to kind of pass the plastic. So it's just a suggestion because I think there's some experienced riders here who have multiple bottles that say Israel Ride on them, which are nice to have during the year.
Yes, it's a wonderful suggestion. There's probably some people who you couldn't pry them away from for anything also.
I'm not sure anybody would want to drink out of my bottle, my previously used bottle.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, Howie. Go ahead.
Any other questions, any other COVID related questions? We're asking everyone to go back into Explority and reread the policy and confirm that you've read it and understood it. And you know, if you do test positive for COVID, you're not going to be able to continue to be with the group. It's just, and we're hoping that doesn't happen. But so as part of that, you know, we would suggest that whatever your level of caution is, and I know different people have very different levels of caution, make it a little more cautious the week before you come.
Yeah, I see a COVID question in the chat from Judy. Will it be possible to eat meals outside? So I met with the travel agent today, Emily, and I've asked her to ask all the hotels if there's an option to take food out on a balcony or, you know, to eat outside. So we don't have an answer yet, but hopefully soon we'll know if it's possible.
And the answer will be in some places it'll work and in other places it won't.
Yeah. And I've also heard some suggestions from the team that everyone bring good masks. We're not requiring a certain standard of masks. We're not saying you have to wear a KN95, but bring a mask that you think will protect you and others. So if that's, you know, probably not like a reusable cloth mask, because I don't think they use those in hospitals. So anything, you know, those blue masks that a nurse or doctor may wear would be helpful.
At this point, we don't anticipate requiring masks, although we would ask everybody to respect very much those who feel that that's the appropriate thing to do for them. But it is possible, if we do have an outbreak, that we will at some point require masks. So please, as part of that protocol, have the masks with you that you're comfortable being able to wear for an extended period. And I can't imagine that would mean wearing a mask while you're riding, because that's outdoors, but it would be wearing a mask when we're not out on the road, potentially.
I just want to chime in on the question about the meals. All of our lunches are eaten outside. When we're on the road, we're outside. So like it's breakfast and dinner that you're concerned about, but lunch every day, all your snacks, all of that is outside.
Yeah. Thank you, Sharon.
Yeah.
Judy, I see you have your hand up.
I don't have a question, but I would like to point out that you should not put your COVID tests in your checked baggage, because the baggage compartment on an airplane is not heated and it may go below the temperature that it's safe to store the test kits at, and then the test kits would be invalidated. So I plan to carry mine on the airplane.
Thanks, Judy. I'm going to read a question from the chat just because it was put in a while ago. Is an election day a national holiday? Will normal retail / transportation services be available? I think they will.
Election day is a national holiday. No, not all normal resources will be available. Some stores are open, some stores are closed. public transportation. I don't really know how public transportation works.
I think it's.
I do know, for example, that we usually pick up all of our rental fleet of cars that we use for the ride on Tuesday. And we have to pick them all up on Monday because the car rental places are closed on Tuesday. No, it's not a normal day in Israel.
Okay. Trying to see if there was anyone. Do we need any sturdy footwear for anything? Do any of the tours require hiking boots?
The Chaverim may have a day or two where it would be good to have hiking boots. Again, people have different definitions of when do I need a sturdy shoe versus not. If you're in the Shomrim, you should have very comfortable walking shoes. I don't think you need hiking shoes. There is an optional hike on Friday that could be better with hiking shoes. I believe that's just for the Shomrim. Is that right, Alana? Yeah.
Yeah, I think for the most part, yeah, I think the Chavarim, it's the most important. So wear hiking boots.
But you just good comfortable walking shoes
Yeah.
should be fine. Otherwise.
All right, I see, we only have a few minutes left, but I see Judy, you have your hand up.
Yeah, Peter Seckle, first time rider. Howie, just had a question for you, follow up your prior. I'm renting a car, Hertz rent a car, and I'm scheduled to drop it off at the King David Hotel on Tuesday. I wasn't told that it's being closed. Maybe it is, I don't know. Were you told that the car rental places are closed on Tuesday? Or because you said you're picking up Monday because of that.
I was told that our car rental vendor is closed on Tuesday. My guess is that would be all of them that are closed. There may be an opportunity to drop the key in a drop slot and drop it off, but I would suggest that you go back and talk to and get through somehow to whatever vendor you are in Israel.
Right.
And
Where are you renting the cars from on your end?
I believe we use Sixt, SIXT.
Okay.
But they generally behave like a pack. When one of them does it, they all do it in terms of being open or closed.
Right.
Larry, do you want to ask a final question?
Quick question. Someone who wanted to make a donation to me today, she needed the tax ID number for the nonprofit, which I American, what it is, 501c, whatever it is. Can you
send that to you? Yeah. Good. Yeah, I'll write it down to send you.
Good.
What's the best way to get from the airport to Jerusalem?
Have a friend pick you up and drive you.
How about for those of us who don't have any friends?
There's a new high-speed train that takes you from the airport to the area of the central bus station. It's a little too far to walk with luggage from the central bus station to our hotel, although in general it could be walking distance. So you would probably want to take a cab from there to the hotel. Or they have these shared taxis that they call a sherut, where they'll put 5 or 6 people in a van together with all their luggage, and you get dropped off in whatever order the taxi driver decides, or you can do a private taxi.
I recommend the train. The last time I was there, I took the high-speed train and it was great. It was very relaxing, very fast. but you do have to, well, I think I walked from the central bus station to the hotel, but it was a little bit of a schlep with luggage.
There's
Yeah,
also,
it's fine as a regular walk, but if you're carrying a big piece of luggage and a hand luggage and a computer and a backpack.
But if you have a wheelie, it's fine. You know, if your luggage is on wheels, it's probably fine.
there's a taxi line outside the airport that you could just, go on, or there's this app called Get Taxi, Gett. It's like Uber, but Israelis use it. It's not Uber, but it's very similar. So you could download it here in America, and you could put in your credit card information and just order a taxi from the airport if that's what you feel comfortable with. Okay, I'm gonna read one last question from Neil in the chat, and then we could wrap up. Question on 019, which is the cell phone company we have a partnership with. We give a slight discount on their SIM cards. So Neil's asking, is it reliable? Do we have a good experience? Does anyone have firsthand experience they want to share?
Yes, I think we've had pretty good experience with them over the years.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, they have a stand at the airport, so it should be pretty easy. And but I will say they're not open on Shabbat. So if you're flying in on Shabbat, just be aware of that. All right. Well, I feel like we got a lot of questions in, which is great. Feel free to keep emailing me questions, and I could, answer. I'm a little slower than usual, so it might take a day to respond, but I'm here to help, and so is Howie, and we're very excited.
Thank you all very much. We're excited to finally be doing this. I know there's a number of you who are still are called first-time Israel riders, although this is the third time you've been signed up and tried to go. We're very much looking forward to it. And to everyone, Gemar Chatima Tova, and we'll see you in Jerusalem.
See you in Jerusalem.
See you in Jerusalem.
Thanks very much, Sean and Howie. Very useful call.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, Howie. Looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you.